Hello. Chapter 9, The Land of the Polar Serpents. The American Dream 2 puffed its way steadily north, and the weather got colder and colder and darker and darker. And they were travelling through total blackness day and night, and this was the home of the Wanderers. It was an eerie place. Icebergs drifted by, small, taller than the mast of the ship itself, creaking and splitting and cracking around them in the mist. The crew fell silent as they went about their work, and even Norbert managed to lower his voice to a menacing whisper as he scolded and shook his axe threateningly at his men. But they had entered the world of the polar serpents. The polar serpents were great white dragons, slumbering on the ice like oversized walruses, but not that fat. They reminded Hiccup of the saber-toothed driver dragons the Vikings used to pull their sleds back in the archipelago, except that instead of saber teeth, out of the nose of each polar serpent grew a long white tusk like a unicorn or a narwhal, which is a real sea creature. Look it up; it's amazing. That has a kind of tusk on its nose. Polar serpents swam under the icebergs, and when they found shoals of unwary seals and penguins resting on the surface above, they sawed great holes in the ice so that the unsuspecting prey fell into their open jaws below. A polar serpent feeding frenzy was a terrifying sight. They could strap a mammal down to the bone far quicker than a shoal of piranhas, and as far as they were concerned, a human was just as tasty as a seal. That's a polar serpent. It's rather beautiful, isn't it? It looks a bit sort of unicorny. Colour. It's white with faint grey markings. Polar serpents live in the north, looking like seals on flat icebergs. Their beauty hides a cruel streak. A pack will even attack a polar bear. That is brave. Of course, the polar bear serpents weren't a threat when you were aboard a boat, but nonetheless, Hiccup swallowed hard as they steamed quietly past the creatures, and he noticed that all of Norbert's hunting dragons were careful to stay close to the ship as well. They roosted on the mast like a row of malevolent starlings, watching the polar serpents, with the polar serpents watching them back. After a while, Norbert slightly lost it with the polar serpent. "Stop looking at me, you big white maggots!" he yelled, waving his axe at the dragons. "Or I'll climb overboard and chop off your horns!" He grabbed the cauldron with the remains of lunch and shook it over the side of the boat. The statues on the ice sprang instantly to life. They slid into the water like big white crocodiles. 30, 40, 60, 300 of them. Within about 5 seconds, the water behind the boat was a thrashing, churning, manic froth of red as the polar serpents went into their feeding frenzy. They were so crazy in their bloodlust that they even attacked each other. They look so beautiful, but they're so fierce, tearing each other. Norbert went back to whispering. All day long, Hiccup could feel the slave mark pressing against his helmet. He hadn't told Fishlegs and Kamikaze about it because he knew he had to keep it a secret, but we can see it. The slave mark is easy to give, but impossible to remove, and you see it's just there on his forehead. He had to keep it a secret. The law of the archipelago was quite firm upon this matter. Anybody with the slave mark was automatically an outcast, whether it was their fault or not. That doesn't seem right. There's a lot that isn't right here. And they certainly couldn't become a chief. No, if Hiccup ever got back home, and it was a big if at that point, this was a secret that Hiccup would have to keep to himself for the rest of his life. He couldn't tell anybody, because if someone like Snotlout were to find out, Hiccup pushed the thought to the back of his mind because he had to concentrate on the more pressing problem of escaping. And now escaping had been made that much more difficult. As Kamikaze had so helpfully pointed out, it was all very well trying to escape when there were 3 of you, but trying to get 122 people off a ship, because he's promised the Wanderers, without their captors noticing, required a little more forward planning, even for someone as clever as Hiccup. "We could escape so easily on our own," complained Kamikaze. "Why are you so suddenly bothering about these people? They're not even Vikings, they're Wanderers, for thought's sake. We might set them free and they might kill us. You never know. You know what people say about Wanderers." "I told you," said Hiccup grumpily. "I had to make them a promise." Hiccup sat in the crow's nest of the American Dream 2, and he thought, his legs swinging as Toothless and Stormfly chased each other round and round in circles. There they are on the top of the mast. I love the way that Kamikaze is swinging upside down, and Hiccup is thinking and thinking, because he's going to do the right thing and try and think of a way to help those poor wanderers escape.